We're back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sponsored Content. I am your host. Today on Spawn Storytime, we're going to quickly cover the Violator miniseries. We're going to start today with Violator number 1. The reason we're doing this is because I think this is just an interesting story arc to follow. This miniseries essentially occurs concurrently with the story arc, The Hunt, which is issues number 21 through 24. We're doing this in order to be thorough. I think it's nice to explore some of the footnotes when we can, particularly those that include other miniseries or other like adjacent properties like Youngblood. I'm not sure if we're going to do a Violator miniseries in its entirety before doing Spawn issue number 22. Violator maybe interspersed over that story arc. I'm not sure yet. The Violator number 1 miniseries issue was released on May 1st, 1994, depicting artwork on the cover showing the Violator in Danny DeVito form. We see at the bottom several of his brothers and a ton of weapons pointed at the Violator because we know that he's been responsible for often all of these mob bosses. So basically what we have here is Tony Twist, aka Don Dracula, hiring the Admonisher now to come in and deal with the Violator. Violator number 1 was written by Alan Moore, with pencils by Bart Sears. Full disclosure, the quality of this video will be a little less than that of others just because in order to, I'm out here doing the dirty work, right? I'm bringing you the content that you crave. In order to get these pages, I had to do a bit more work since there exists no digital format for this issue currently. With that in mind, let's go ahead and jump into Violator number 1. We start off in hell with the Fleabag brothers attempting to sort of tune in their blood TV here. We see that the Earth is kind of being zoomed in on into like New York City. They have asked this TV or the screen to find their brother, the Violator, who has been banished to Earth and locked in Danny DeVito clown form. We see one of the brothers here mentioned, his name is the Vacillator, but they're kind of zooming into a situation here where they're looking for the Violator and they appear to be finding him kind of hanging out with some mobsters here on the pier. Next we see the Violator here, looking like he has some concrete shoes on. We see Mr. Vito Gravano here, Mr. Pick a Name. His assistant is just complaining that he's not really built for this type of work. He's more suited for driving the limo and making appointments. Vito Gravano says, all right, dudes, basically this clown confessed to killing all of our mob associates, so go ahead and show him how much we appreciate his honesty. If you recall, near the end of issue number 15, Violator got smacked in the face with a newspaper from those kids in the alleyway, and the article he read went on to say that the mob thought that Spawn, or a Youngblood maybe, or even Shadowhawk was responsible for these killings, and Violator was like, no, I ain't having that. I want the credit. I'm gonna go visit this greasy bastard. So this is essentially the outcome of the Violator's meeting with Don Vito Gravano. Violator being locked in his Danny DeVito form, he is incapable of morphing into his true form and causing like the really nasty havoc that we're all familiar with. So it appears at the beginning of the Violator miniseries here that he's just not really in a position to defend himself very well, and as such he's ended up in a situation where he's about to sleep with these fishes. As they toss Violator over the side of the pier, he reaches up and bites onto this dude's tie and yanks him down into the water with him. We see as the Violator descends down into the water, he frees himself from these ropes somehow, reaches in to this gentleman's side holster here, and straight blasts him in the face. As the Violator continues to plunge downward, he is firing now at his concrete boots to free himself. He bites on this dude's tie again, and he is now very triumphantly, sort of like Michael Phelps here, he is just powering his way and swimming to the surface. Twistelli's goons here are like, where did they go? I mean, we just tossed them over the pier, but I don't know why we're looking for them out here on the beach. And then they kind of see and hear their friend over here. They're like, Tommy, dude, you look awful. Are you okay? He says, I feel all right, but I got this, big ass hole in my head. That's kind of the problem. And then we see the Violator's revolver hand just come shooting right through this dude's dead ass mouth. His buddy's like, oh Christ. Violator says, boy, did you guys screw up. This guy's freaking out, sort of trying to ready his firearm here. And he's trying to shoot at the Violator. Violator's got a pretty good human shield with this gentleman's head sort of lodged onto his arm still. This guy keeps firing. Violator tells him he's basically a demon from hell, and they're pretty reluctant, to die. He continues on. Violator basically says, I know where you're going, and then he blasts this dude right in the face. The Fleabag brothers watching all of this, they're like, well, he pretty much acts like our brother, but we're not really sure. Again, he's locked in his clown form here. The brothers continue on and say, of course it's him. Look at this, worthless little piece of rat shit here, and then why is our picture getting all cloudy? They say they need a refill from the cage. We see that their picture quality is sort of dependent on the amount of blood they have available from these poor damned souls. Once they've added a little bit more blood here, they get a new picture. This time we're kind of back in a mobster office. Here in Tony Twistelli's office, one of his goons says that the operative he asked for has arrived. He says, all right, show him in the way. And here he comes. He is a big ass, muscular, Dolph Lundgren looking motherfucker. This guy starts to come in. Tony Twist is like, it's a pleasure doing business with you. What's your name? He says, my name is the Admonisher. What do you want me to do? And Tony Twist is like, well, Jake and Larry here. And the Admonisher starts to pull out his revolvers and just blast these dudes in the face and the chest. He says, anybody else? Tony Twist says, I was going to say Jake and Larry here will prepare the projector so I can show you our actual target. The Admonisher's like, I'm sorry about that. And Tony Twist is like, it's not really that big a deal. I didn't like them that much anyway. I didn't really, want to promote them. So this is just kind of an easy out for me. Tony Twist fires up the projector and he says, here's some camera footage from this asshole that came to my office and told me that he was going around killing all my homies and associates. He's some kind of demon or space mutant freak, not really sure. But this is sort of like his true form, but he kind of looks like this right now. Tony Twistelli says, I need this dude neutralized, and the Admonisher's like, that's what I do, that's no problem. Twistelli says, maybe use a little discretion here. Admonisher says, nope, that's really not how I operate. And Twistelli continues on, no, you should really be like Teddy Roosevelt. The Admonisher says, you want me to take care of him too. Back on Hell TV, the Fleabag brothers are kind of figuring out that the Violator has gotten himself into a lot of trouble on Earth with the Mafia. They think that they want to help him. They're all a bunch of brothers, so they probably have sort of a love-hate relationship. They probably really want to help him out so they can get him back home so they can beat him up and stuff. And their TV picture, starts to cloud up again, so then they grab another unfortunate soul here. They're going to toss her into the mix, get some more blood going. Now we catch up with the Violator. He is in a more public setting. Their picture here in Hell has become very clear. This is some really good blood. And Violator is sort of making his way through a mall, a pretty busy mall. With this guy's severed head still wedged on his arm. Violator's kind of pissed because it's bad enough for him to kind of walk around and not draw a lot of attention. And now he's got like this head that's stuck on his arm with rigor mortis. And, of course, he's carrying around a gun. This is like the first time we really see the Violator in a public setting. Usually he's just kind of creeping around the alleyway or like fighting Spawn just out in the open street. But now he's just, in Mall of America. We see someone yell, stop where you are, you little fat man. I am the Admonisher. And Dolph Lundgren comes flying in, just crashing down. He's coming in hot, but he's coming in pretty PG rated. He's here to give Violator a darn good telling off. Admonisher continues on with his really, appropriate language, and he says he's going to give Violator a piece of his mind. Violator says, I'm pretty confident there's a mistake. I don't think you have the right person. The Admonisher and Violator crash down to the first floor of the mall here, sort of freaking everybody out. Violator is actually doing pretty well here because he continues to kind of get away. He keeps trying to make an escape. He thinks maybe I'm going to try this escalator. Of course, like any horror movie, it's always the best idea to try to run upstairs when you're trying to get away from someone. Violator's like, this guy's kind of a professional. He's not like one of these whack-ass goons like this dude that's still stuck on my arm. And Violator says apparently, being locked in this form, he's not really immortal anymore, so he has to kind of be really careful. I guess he's basically like Wreck-It Ralph, and if he dies outside of his own game or like in a different body, he probably dies forever. Violator's starting to get a little worried, a little more concerned now. He's sort of reflecting that he's learning a lesson here that, dying is really only funny if it's not happening to him and if he's the one inflicting the dying. Here comes in the Admonisher. He says, now as I was saying. We cut back to Hell, where the Fleabag brothers are now incredibly concerned that if, this regular-ass Dolph Lundgren-looking dude is able to kill a Fleabag brother, that their reputation is shot. Then they flip a coin, basically, by doing a human wishbone here, and they rip this person apart. Looks like heads wins. And meanwhile, back at the Mall of America, with all these people sort of looking on, some people, maybe puking, some people maybe angry, others don't really seem to be too fazed by all of this. The Admonisher still in his PG language here, trying to deliver just a really sound ticking off to the Violator, who's still kind of getting away and being actually kind of polite about it, trying to excuse himself. Admonisher says, consider yourself reprimanded, and we see this gigantic boom. Violator's like, what the hell's going on? The floor is like melting and bubbling. I'm kind of familiar with this, and the Admonisher is not doing this. Says everything's getting kind of freaky and hellish. He can smell something now, a familiar smell. He's getting a really bad feeling about all of this. He says what he's witnessing now only happens when there is just so much Hellborn energy around. It basically transforms the entire landscape. And then Violator turns around to find none other than his entire family here, right on top of him. His own flesh and blood. They're asking for a hug. They want to catch up a bit, maybe figure out what he's done to be so disgraced and locked into this form. This has been Violator miniseries, issue number 1. Next, on the second issue, The Flesh, we will continue with the Violator miniseries. This has been sponsored content with another episode of Spawn Storytime. Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you again.
Boom, shakalaka.